Hello and welcome to another edition of Coffee Talk with Immigration Attorney Brian D. Lerner. We are talking today about the interview process that goes along with marriage petitions. Now, there's a lot of questions people have in regards to the interview process, and is it horrible? Is it to be dreaded? What's going to happen? I'm sure many people have seen the movie The Green Card and wonder if it's the same. And in some respects, it is. Keep in mind that with the marriage petition, pretty much before you walk in the door, the officer thinks you're lying. Okay, that's the reality. That everybody gets married for the green card and not because of love, and so you essentially have to prove the officer wrong, and that does take preparation. It does take time. There are some instances where the officer will interview you in one room and then interview the spouse in another room. I had a case once where this happened, and the spouse couldn't remember where they went on their last vacation because he was all nervous. So the officer was going to deny the case, but I had them prepare, various declarations and show evidence, and it all came down to nerves, and so ultimately that case was approved. But you have to be ready to realistically answer the questions and to essentially make sure it really is a real marriage. Because if you're trying to put one over on immigration, they see it all the time. And if you think that all you have to do is, get married to a U.S. citizen and you're going to get your green card 3 months later, that's not the way it works. And what will happen many times is if you try to commit marriage fraud, the spouse or later ex-spouse might call you up and say, hey, by the way, I need another $10,000 or I'm going to call immigration, and this is 10 years after you get your green card. So it's just not worth it. It's a little harder many times to do the proper petition in the beginning, whether it's employment or through another family member, which does take years sometimes of waiting. But if you can do it right and go forward, then it'll save you the heartache of a fake or fraudulent marriage. Because with marriage fraud, you will never be able to get immigration benefits for the rest of your life. So what is it that you can do to better prepare for the interview? Well, first of all, you can have everything organized. You can come in with a nice binder with all originals of birth certificates and marriage certificates and lease statements, all joint documents organized, by insurance, receipts. You can have letters, emails. You can have all that ready. So when the officer asks, you just boom, pull it out, and there it is. And you have a copy for the officer, and you have the original for you. So you show the original, you give a copy, and then be prepared to not necessarily win the day you go there, but the officer might say, I need more of this or more of that. And depending what the officer wants, just make a list and you get it to the officer. And so it's not something you really want to practice for or prep for, but obviously if you're doing the marriage petition, there's about a year between when it's filed and when you're going to have the interview. So when I'm advising my clients is during that year, be sure that you get everything you can jointly. Be sure that you start commingling the funds, and essentially be sure you live together, and be sure you act and are a real couple. And with that, you will have a much better chance at the interview. Now, given that, you do have the right to have an attorney with you at the interview. And sometimes, and these are the stories I hear from people who go to interviews that don't have any attorney with them, sometimes officers will go off left field and start asking and questioning and ultimately denying on bases that have nothing to do with the marriage petition. So it's like insurance. You ought to bring a qualified attorney with you so that if things start going to the left where they shouldn't, the attorney will get you back on track. And if the officer seems to be unreasonable, the attorney will request a review with a supervisory officer. Sometimes it has to happen, but sometimes the mere fact an attorney is there at the interview, doesn't even have to say anything many times, and the mere presence, the officer knows that they're being watched, so many times it'll go a lot smoother. So keep that in mind. More on the coming videos.